I'm going to crash the plane into the World Trade Center. New York Center. This is Atlantic National Flight 265 heading. We've got manual override.
I know you and your friends are fighting for the American dream. Just don't expect to win.
And before I forget, I wanted to bring you back to the lamed God, the God that is crippled or maimed. And in this case, I'm going to show you the aspect of the wheelchair lamed one. When we take another look at Katy Perry's video, I'm Wide Awake.
On the concrete, falling from cloud nine, crashing from...
She's the crippled or the lamed one in the wheelchair.
There's some symbolism on my dress. There's a lot of butterflies. There's a lot of butterflies. There's a lot of symbolism. You gotta just kind of catch it. We're trying to put a lot of subliminal things in there too.
And I also wanted to get back to the ancient staff or the ancient cane. It's a magical symbol that represents the staff of power from ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, as well as the Germanic tribes like Druids, to the more recent vampires and witches, which is why a magician uses the magic stick or the magic staff, the cane, which is why you will find the Pope who uses the magic walking cane or the magic staff. So of course, the ancients believed that their gods also held the magic staff or the magic cane of magical power. So of course, this is exactly why we find that kings also hold the magic staff or the cane of power, the magical wand. So as you see, the symbolism is everywhere, from the ancient Bible to modern day Hollywood films like The Dark Knight Rises. So we find the magic staff from the ancient gods to even the devil. From ancient royalty to modern day royalty like kings and queens. Which is why the tycoon J.P. Morgan was known to always walk with the magic staff or the cane. Which is why the Rockefellers also carry the magic cane or the magic staff. Which is why the other Illuminati family, the Rothschilds or the Rothschilds, the Red Childs, also carry the magic cane or the walking stick of power. If you've watched Sherlock Holmes, then you'll know that Watson is the lamed one, the one that walks with a limp.
Hello. Mr. Holmes. Sherlock, please.
And speaking of a limp, we have the Bourne Legacy, where he walks with a limp. And one of my viewers reminded me of a few others, like the famous limp and walking cane of Hitler. and the ever-famous Charlie Chaplin, who walks with the walking cane and walks with a limp, and has the Charlie Chaplin walk. And of course, Charlie Chaplin took his mustache straight from Hitler. And get this, Charlie Chaplin is actually an orphan. And believe it or not, Hitler is actually an orphan as well. And since we're talking about orphans again, I wanted to show you a few more examples. In addition to the gods I spoke of earlier that were orphaned as babies, I also wanted to bring up the fact that Zeus was actually orphaned as a child. He was raised by the goat Almathea, suckling upon the breasts, exactly like Romulus and Remus, who suckled upon the breasts of the wolf. And of course, Rome was created from Romulus. Another famous religious orphan comes to us from the Mormon Church, or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the LDS Church, and their prophet and creator who wrote the Book of Mormon, Joseph Smith, is actually an orphan. And here are a few examples of other famous orphans. And by the way, Bruce Wayne, or Batman, is not the only superhero orphan. Believe it or not, Superman is also an orphan. And it's kind of strange how Christopher Reeve, the actor of Superman, became the lamed one in a wheelchair. And the superhero Spider-Man is also an orphan. And another superhero orphan on Batman is the Penguin in Batman Returns. The evil penguin from the underworld that represents the death and rebirth of winter. And of course, the baby penguin is disgusting. So the evil elite parents decide to let the little child become an orphan. And you'll notice the symbolism of the birdcage.
Merry Christmas.
Notice how their child becomes an orphan on the night of Christmas, because Christmas is the time that the old year or the old man dies and the rebirth of the new year begins on the 12. So you will find out that there are many superheroes who are orphans. In fact, you'll find that a lot of characters in books and in movies are in fact about a story of an orphan. Our superhero, James Bond, Agent 007, is of course the story about an orphan. And once again, we have the connection of 911. The connection of all the sevens on 7/11 or September 11th. thus the 7 that is also found in the Bible stories of unsealing the 7th seal. So the agent 007 is really code for 117 or 711, 9/11. And get this, when I did some research on James Bond, it turns out his birthday is November 11th, thus the 9/11. And that's exactly why James Bond's Skyfall 007 was released on November 9th, because the novum is the 9 or the 11, which is 9/11. And of course, Skyfall was filmed in Istanbul. You see, Skyfall is a play on words. The sky is falling. You know, like Chicken Little, who actually believes that the sky is falling. The chicken is the very essence of the ignorance of the sheeple or the people, who are little chickens. Little chickens are scared and would actually believe that the sky is falling. So this is why all of his friends are also dumbasses who aren't aware. Chicken Little is the scared little wimp, and Abby Mallard is the dabbling duck or the quack, and the runt of the litter is the outcast, and a fish out of water is out of their element.
Chicken Little.
Look, Mama, there's the crazy chicken!
Abby Mallard, a.k.a. Ugly Duckling. Fish out of water.
Do that.
Runt of the litter.
Everything you've heard about monsters, about nightmares, legends whispered around campfires, all the stories are true.
Welcome to the City of Bones.
Welcome to the City of Death. Welcome to the City of the Skull and Bones. The instruments that are used against the mortal ones, or the ones who will die and become part of the City of Bones. By the way, the star of the City of Bones is none other than a little girl who is an orphan. Oh, and by the way, in case you didn't know, Santa Claus is actually an orphan. And of course, the saint, Saint Nicholas, was also an orphan. So you see, that's why when you watch the story of Elf, he was orphaned as a child and then later tries to reunite with his father. And in the Boy Scouts, we have the Chief Scout Executive, who was actually an orphan. So most people just simply don't realize the importance, the significance, and the abundance of the orphan in Hollywood films and in stories.